Right, massive welcome back to Kevin Rowan-DREWITT with Spirals on Circles. Author and researcher Kev has a keen interest in our mysterious stone circles. Tonight he focuses on 3 unique sites: Long Meg and her daughters, Little Meg and Glastonbury. These have, in addition to accurate astronomical alignments, spirals carved into them. So who did these? What might they mean? Let's find out. Please welcome Kevin Rowan-DREWITT. Thank you.
Thank you, and good evening. It's nice to be back here. Nice to see the guy wearing the Damned t-shirt. Saw the Damned in 1977 supporting T-Rex at the Rainbow in London. And appropriately, it's Mark Bolan's birthday today, who's been 66. So, rest in peace, Mark. So, moving on, Spirals on Circles. They're lying in Cumbria. I'll show you where it is. This is the Lake District here. Keswick there, Windermere down here. This is Penrith. Just to the right of the Penrith, east of Penrith, 6 miles to the east, lie 3 of the most unique stone circles in England. Yes. So we're zooming in now. There's Penrith. There's the M6 coming up. There's the Penrith. You go along this little road here to a place called Langwagby, and you turn off. You see little salted water. We'll come to that later. And just there, Long Meg and her daughters. And just above it, there's Glastonbury. First one, in this area in Cumbria, just within a couple of miles of each other, are these 3 stone circles. And the only stone circles in England that have spirals carved on them. You find all over, I'll show you some pictures in a minute, all over Wales, Scotland, Ireland, and beyond. But these 3 are unique because they're the only ones in England, and they lie so close together. The advantage of this is, of course, within the space of a couple of hours, you can visit all 3 of them. This is Long Meg and her daughters. This Long Meg stands majestically on a hill near the village of Little Selkirk in the picturesque Eaton Valley, 6 miles east of Penrith. It's called Long Meg and her daughters, and it's 350 feet in diameter, and that makes it the largest stone circle in Cumbria, and the 3rd largest stone circle actually in Britain. Only the Great Circle in Avebury, in Wiltshire, and Stanton Drew just south of Bristol in Somerset are larger than the ring formed by the daughters. That's Long Meg there. She's a 12-foot high sandstone, red sandstone outlier. And these are 66 daughters, or some of them anyway. Long Meg's very impressive, and even a lot of the other stones are even more impressive, some of them weighing up to 20 tonnes. The daughters are a circle of 69 granite giants, as I say, weighing up to 28 tonnes. The sheer vastness of the site never fails to impress and delight all who see it. So, who's been there? A few of you, very good. Or maybe after tonight you'll want to go there, or maybe you'll never want to go there ever. But we'll play it by ear and see what happens. Just down the road from Long Meg, and after the grandeur of Long Meg and the daughters, you may be forgiven at thinking Little Meg is of little consequence, but this aptly named circle is actually, it doesn't pay into significance by comparison, because its diminutive size actually gives it quite a nice charm, and it's also 1,000 years younger than Long Meg, and it has spirals on it, and it's a beautiful little site to visit. I know it looks like a heap of stones stuck in the corner of a field, but it's actually a lovely place. It's very, very quiet, very nice. Anyone been to this one? The same people, yes, that feel, doesn't it? Okay, just down the road from that is another stone circle, although actually when it was built it wasn't a stone circle, we'll come on to this later. This is just outside the village of Glastonbury, and it's a stone circle. Again, very peaceful, lovely place to visit, and it has again spirals with concentric circles on it. Anyone been to this one? Just David, eh? And Kathy. This is Bryn Celyn in Anglesey. This is actually Wales's equivalent of Stonehenge. It's aligned exactly the same way that Stonehenge is. And again, there was a stone circle. You can see some small stones here, and then they built this chamber too. But the interesting thing is this stone here that stands just outside. What you might think is the entrance, but it's not. This is just a place that lets in light. And it's actually an observatory for observing the movements of the sun, the moon, and Venus. It's actually a Venus temple. They actually buried a bull in the entrance just to make sure. Venus is associated with the sign Taurus, and Taurus is the sign of the bull. I'll say this is the stone, and on it there's a spiral, and concentric circles, all sorts of other squiggles. When I say stone, this is actually a plaster cast. When the Welsh authorities, in their wisdom, decided that the stone having stood there for thousands of years, that a bit of rain might do it some harm, so they whisked it off to the Cardiff Museum and made a cast of it, and you can now see the cast there. Bryn Celyn, by the way, it stands at that place with the longest place name in England, which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce, but it's called, they call it locally Llanfair PG. It's like one of those Llanfair, you know, that place. But you know, where the railway station sign is longer than the platform. Those of you who remember the goodies might remember where they had a train ride where they got on one end of the platform, went the whole length of the sign, and got off again. It's a whole train journey. Okay, let's move on. This is New Grange in the Boyne Valley in County Meath in Ireland. Actually, looks from a bit further away, it looks like some giant spaceship that's just touched down on the top of the hill. Absolutely fantastic place, 5,000 years old, and on there's this wonderful entrance stone. This is what it would have looked like. It was restored in the 60s. And there's a similar couple of chamber tombs nearby. This was restored in the 60s to its former glory, but they actually took a bite out of it so that you didn't have to climb over the entrance stone anymore to get in. And this is the entrance stone, absolutely fabulous. As you can see, spirals all over it. This handrail down the side here, they've actually cut it here on the curtain. There's some steps going up, and then you come down these other steps and you can go into the entrance here, so you don't have to climb over this stone anymore, which obviously thousands of visitors do that each year. This is an absolutely marvellous place to visit. Has anybody been? Well worth a visit. It's well worth going to Ireland just to see this. It's a fantastic thing. Again, it's a Venus observatory as well. And at the winter sunset, which we'll be coming on to later with Long Meg, the winter sunrise, the sun shines through that box up the top there, goes along a passageway over 100 feet long, and it's channeled along, and then the sun comes to rest on a flat stone on which the Neolithic people used to put their ancestors' bones, so it's like they were being reborn at the winter sunrise, the winter solstice. Here's inside. This is the tunnel, the chamber that you walk down to. And again, you can see there we've got more spirals carved in, and in the roof there's more spirals and concentric circles again. When we actually visited there in 1998, the guide. This lovely Irish girl, she was saying, very proudly introducing all these spirals and saying, isn't this wonderful? And I said, oh, in Cumbria there's 3 stone circles and they've got spirals and that. She said, oh, so you English were copying us 5,000 years ago, were you? But the roof is a corbel roof where they lay the stones over one another. And it's 5,000 years old and it's never leaked. I work in a school where the school's just been rebuilt, and after a couple of months the roof is leaking. So the Neolithic people know a lot more about making things dry and rainproof. This stone comes from the island of Ide, the Ide Manstone, and it was actually a lintel to an entrance to a tomb up there. And again, you can see the spirals and the concentric circles. And we can actually go even further afield. This is a place called Heliland, which means the land of flat stones. And this is on Baffin Island in Canada. And here we again see spirals, and there's a little spiral down there, and concentric circles again. And this is what we will be seeing at Longmeg, Little Meg, and Glastonbury. And clear proof here, of course, that Columbus didn't discover Australia. He didn't, did he? That was Cook. That Columbus didn't discover America. It was there a long time before. So let's move on to Longmeg. This is a signpost in the village of Little Selkirk, which is the village where Longmeg stands. And as you can see, you've got says Glastonbury 2 miles, so it just shows you how close the three are together. This is the interesting bit. Longmeg-Druitt Circle, ancient monument. Now, whoever put that sign up doesn't know the history very well, because the Celts, well, the Druids were the high priests of the Celts, and the Celts didn't come here until 2,000 years after Longmeg was built, so it actually has nothing to do with Druids whatsoever. So it's a bit of a misnomer. So from this sign, you move on, you go up the road about another half a mile, and you come to another sign. You're on the Glastonbury Road, and you come up to this sign here. Again, Longmeg half a mile, Druitt Circle half a mile. Again, Druitt Circle is nothing to do with the Druids. So you turn off onto this road, which is literally just the width of your car, and it goes up and it bends round, and then you get your first sight. And what you actually see as you approach is there's a dry stone wall, and you can just see Longmeg peeping over the top of it, and it looks like some sort of hooded figure staring at you. And clearly, this was what William Wordsworth had the same effect on him when he first went there. A weight of awe, not easy to be borne, fell suddenly upon my spirit cast, from the dread bosom of the unknown past, where I first saw that family forlorn. Speak thou, whose massy strength and stature scorn the power of years preeminent and placed, apart, to look over the circle vast. Speak, giant mother, tell it to the morn, while she dispels the cumbrous shades of night, that the moon here, emerging from a cloud, at whose behest uprose on British ground that sisterhood in hieroglyphic round, foreshadowing, somehow deemed infinite, the inviolable God that tames the proud. But it better live up to it, hasn't it, after that? So, as you approach Longmeg, one of the daughters, you can't actually see the circle at all. You just drive along this road and there's these clumps of trees, and then suddenly it opens out and bang, you're in the circle. The effect is rather like entering into another world when you go in there, because as I say it's 350 foot across. You feel absolutely dwarfed by the size of the circle and the size of the stones. You can park up here on the right. And don't worry, because in all the time I've been going there, there's never been more than 2 or 3 cars there. You never get a lot of people there. Unlike Castle Rig, its famous cousin over near Keswick, which gets thousands and thousands of visitors every year. Longmeg hardly gets anybody. This is the only way you can get to it by road is along this little track, and most people just pass it by and don't even know it's there. But it's well worth a visit. This is what it looks like from the air. And here's the road down here, and this is where you can just park up here. Or you can actually drive into the circle and park up here if there's a few of you. At Lammas, that's the 1st of August this year, me and Cathy, my wife, we run a training covenant, and we had a big ritual up here at Longmeg, and there was 26 of us the middle of the circle. We still felt dwarfed a bit by the circle, even 26 of us. But absolutely marvellous place. We started off around Long Meg, then went through the entrance stones here. These a couple of entrance stones. There's Long Meg. There's the dry stone wall that Long Meg peeps over. We were humbled until a few walkers came by. There is a public footpath that comes from another way, and some walkers came along. But for some reason they didn't come anywhere near us, probably because one of us was wielding a big scythe. But who knows? If you don't happen to have a car and you need to get there by public transport, then it's a bit of a rigmarole, I'm afraid, to get there. The nearest train station is Langwathy, and that's 2 miles away. And that's on the Settle to Carlisle line, so probably you have to get a train from Preston up to Carlisle, and a train from Carlisle down to Langwathy, and then a taxi or something for the last 2 miles, or enjoy the walk. So it's a bit of a different place to get to. If you do happen to want to go there after this and visit, whatever you do, this up the top here is it's called Long Meg Farm, and whatever you do, don't turn around, go drive up into the farm to turn around. 4 years ago, my friend Neil MacDonald, who runs the Earth Mysteries conferences over at Preston, he arranged to have a coach trip after we talked to go up to Long Meg. And to my horror, while I was showing everybody around, the coach driver drove into the farm. The farmer came out with his shotgun, and a bit of an altercation took place. The driver said I thought I was going to thump him. So whatever you do not go into the farm to turn around. Just move your car around and you'll be safe and sound. Okay, let's have another look at Long Meg from the air at another angle. Here we are. The site is on public land and admission is free. It's a very good place for a picnic, but it's sometimes used by cows, as one member of our column found out. She was only wearing open-toed sandals and managed to slide right through a cow pat. And when someone said, well, that's lucky, the expression on her face didn't really look like she thought it was lucky. But, so you do beware. If you're going to go there in the winter, the grass is always wet. It's best to wear some wellies or some good outdoor walking shoes. It slopes from the right. This is the east here, and the west, and it slopes up. I'll show you that in a minute. And if it is raining, well, you can always shelter under the 2 big trees that are there in the middle. They've been there a long, long time. Or you can always shelter behind the stones. Well, they're quite big, but it is a very exposed site. So do take a coat with you. This is a drawing of Long Meg and her daughters done in 1725 by the great 18th century antiquarian William Stukeley. William Stukeley is one of 2 people that we really owe a lot to in knowing our history of the ancient stone circles and other ancient sites in Britain. He always puts himself in the picture, a bit like Alfred Hitchcock did in his films. That's him down the bottom there. And there's Long Meg and the entrance stones. The curious thing about this is obviously there's the road going through and there's some trees. But there's also this other stone circle here. See this smaller one. And there's absolutely no trace of that circle today at all. It's completely disappeared. And in fact, for every stone circle that there is still standing in Britain, and there's a good 300 of them, there's 2, it's been estimated that there's 2 have been lost. So, there used to be like about 1,000. Only